I believe you also got to talk about the whole case about the martyrs for Christians. Like, there's like I believe you guys went into apologia,
Yeah,
and how he went into how the whole martyrs for Christians, like the Christians that testified and died for their faith, how that's like sort of a mythology or something.
well, some speculate that later Christians suffering hardship just before Constantine came to power.
Well, I definitely think Peter, Paul, and James. I think most scholars would probably agree from the paper I've did. Most agree that they would have that there's good evidence that they were accused of being Christian, so on and then. And there's say, well, how do you know they had the chance to recant? They had the chance to recant by not preaching the gospel and not preaching what they truly believed to have seen. If they knew it was false, and you're not going to preach something that's false.
Yeah.
So you don't, even though there is some early Roman documentation, like Pliny the Younger, where he would, in a letter to governor, I forget which Roman governor it was, but basically he ended up, I believe he ended up giving a Christian to recant. But of course, this isn't during the time of the martyrs. It's like 118 AD on top of my head. But even then, you may make an argument that perhaps the Romans are consistent in the way they practice law, since they have the government principle, innocent before proven guilty, and that's a common law. So perhaps it would be consistent in their law, but you don't have to go that far. You can just say that the apostles that would have been the earliest eyewitnesses, there's good evidence that they did die as martyrs, and they didn't need a chance to recant because they already had the chance to recant by not preaching the gospel, which they would know is false or true.
We don't know how the other apostles died, but we know for a fact that Peter and Paul died in Rome under Nero.
Yeah, I think we have good evidence for both James's
executed in Jerusalem.
Yeah, and then Thomas. Interestingly enough, there's
in India.
Yeah, there's obviously legend built up, but a lot of sources seem to build off the same point that he was martyred in India. And interestingly enough, there's a coin. I forget the ruler. It's in Sean McDowell's book. Very interesting. I actually learned this from a lecture I attended at the Cross-Examined Instructor Academy. That an Indian coin that they found was the same ruler that Thomas would have been, died under. But there's many different stories about how Thomas would have died, which is why there's legend going around it. But, I just want to say real quick, just like legend theory with Christ, the fact would be that Christ died and would have died by crucifixion. Of course, they would argue there's legend developed around that, even though I don't think there is when you look at the New Testament manuscript evidence. But just like with that, there's legend developed around Thomas's death. But the point would be he died somehow in India for martyrdom, and that's what all these Gnostic texts and some texts would seem to report.
Or, maybe he just died of old age in India.
Yeah, probably.
That can always work.
Maybe, but I don't know why there'd be so much legend developed around it if it wasn't a significant event that happened.